everybody, and welcome to Talking Shop on the Experience. I am Miss Jen. Sorry, I just got my face way too close to you. I super apologize. This is our show that we have on the Experience. It will help you make choices on Wednesday at your local comic shop. We like to talk to at least two creators that have work that's coming out this Wednesday. And in this case, we have two awesome creators. One you may not be super familiar with, and that's what we love doing, is exposing you to like brand new people that are going to be big, and some that you might already know from things that you love. So that's what's going to happen today. Welcome to the Experience. This is Alex Pagnadell and Just Tech.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. And I have to super apologize. Due to a snafu that's probably 100% my fault, I accidentally told you guys the exact same time to come on instead of having you guys back to back. So, hey, it's a party.
That's fine. We can share the spotlight, I'm sure.
We'll definitely have fun. Maybe you guys will make best friends. So, and you might work on something in the future. That'd be fun.
It happened here. Yeah.
All right. So do you go by HS?
Yeah, for my writing name, I do. My name is Himkar.
Himkar, that's right.
So sometimes it's hard to pronounce, so it's just easier to put HS tack.
I have to really question people that can't actually pronounce Himkar. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's
as a world, we should be able to get there, right?
But there's H.G. Wells and C.S. Lewis, so I feel like I don't know.
It sounds very literary to have the two initials in there.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
He put an extra in there. He was just a cheater.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll add an extra S in there.
So I was super proud of myself, HS. I went and found your IDW book.
Oh, wow.
Boy One.
Yeah. That was like 2016 or something?
Yeah. What is Boy One about? I am not familiar with that piece.
It's basically about the first human clone. And when he's created, he's been given immunity to a certain disease, and of course a pandemic comes, and everyone gets the disease, and everyone's looking for him because he has his blood is the cure. That's
never good for the person that has the blood that everybody wants, right? They don't want the little. They like
that's
all. Right. I feel bad for him because he didn't ask to be made.
No, he didn't ask to be cloned and made. Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy. So did you do any other comic book work ahead of Boy One?
No, Boy One was my first book.
And what is your background? Did you come from a writing background or something completely different?
Yeah, I worked in film production and I had a screenwriter's background. But my screenplays never went anywhere. So I was like, let me figure out a better way to get my stories out.
It's kind of interesting because they're so related. Like the way that comic books roll out is just like screenwriting. So, and now you're putting your stuff out as a comic book might get your stuff made into a movie. So it's kind of like just jumps a spot.
You never know. Let's see. Maybe I can make some money that way.
So what we're looking forward to this week from you is from Scout Comics. It's Red Shift, which the Ashcan came out, I'd say maybe 2 months ago at least. And I've been really looking forward to reading because I'm a sucker for sci-fi, especially stuff that takes place primarily on another planet. And it's about humans trying to survive. And it looks like from the Ashcan read that this, like the main storyline is from Mars.
Yeah, it takes place in Mars, and then it leaves Mars as you go on the journey with the astronauts, and then it'll cut back and forth for the rest of after issue 2.
Okay, and is it slated to be a long-running series or a mini series?
No, it's like 6 issues.
Oh, that's perfect.
That sweet spot, hopefully.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you can tell us about it that might be a little bit insider for the storyline?
Not insider, but I was able to work with NASA JPL to get this. I like to tell stories that are grounded in science, and I did that with Boy One. I continued that here. It's interesting, man. That these guys, like, they're still kids at heart. The people that work there. I worked with Dr. Wesley Traub, who is the head of the exoplanet exploration program. And, the stuff, just to listen to him talk, the stuff that they're working on is amazing. They are doing stuff, that basically they're looking, they're actually working on time travel. How do you bend the space-time continuum and, you're able to jump space-time? It's crazy.
So did you talk to them about that at any length?
Yeah, I did. So some of that, so we use some of that technology that they're working on.
So I think that I watch just about every show I can about it. And I think that most recently what they had been saying is that they know that they can travel forward in time. I mean, we are already, but I mean, in some significant amount. And that for the longest time that science was saying you could not travel backward. And now they're saying that they're saying it's not true. So what are they currently saying about such things?
Well, so these guys believe in what they're doing. Like, they believe 100%. So I think, once we're just behind, we're in like caveman times for space exploration. We just, we're just starting to get the tools. So, it's going to be a process, but I believe in them. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, but they'll do it eventually. They'll crack that code, I think.
So for Redshift, did you go for a very realistic, like, this is super grounded in science, or did you do any fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, wherever it helps me, I'll do wherever I can break away and I need to tell a story, then it's going to go, it's going to just flow that way.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I love about science fiction novels and TV, like The Expanse, is that it feels like this really is probably the way it will look in the future. Or the idea of like that there's belters and people from Mars and people that consider themselves just from the moon, and that those societies would probably evolve the way that it shows in the show. Because it's not something I would have thought about, but then it's like, that makes sense for that to be the way that it's looked at. The poor guys that made it out to the belt and are getting all of the raw materials for us, just like in early, Earth history.
So basically, yeah, like Earth, people exploiting people.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I wonder if that's like near future, the way the people that go and colonize places like Mars, if that's how they'll feel. That we take them for granted, that they're the ones out there risking their life to try something new to see if it's even possible for us to do such things. Yeah,
I think Expanse. So I watched like the first couple of episodes, and then I dropped it for, I don't know why. I'm gonna get back in though. But yeah, you see how it mirrors Earth, man. It's still, we're still behaving the same way as we would, Humans are humans.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend the novels. By the way, if the TV show didn't grab you, reading the novels you can tell that they worked really hard to make the transition between book and screen to be as close as they could. But it's just so much more rich because you can hear inside of their brains, which you can't on TV. So
yeah.
So what do you have any other projects that are near future coming out after or during Redshift?
Yeah, so I have a few books that I'm working on. I have a book called Crashland that I'm doing with my Boy One artist. He won the DC Talent Award, and he's doing a bunch of DC stuff now. I think he's doing Justice League Dark and some other books. But luckily, after Boy One hit, I was like, dude, let's do something else. So I grabbed him quick, and so we have a book called Crashland, which is a diversion from sci-fi, and it's more of a historical action adventure.
Okay.
So it's about a little girl who is an orphan who lives in the borderland of Afghanistan and India in 1942, and she finds a World War II Royal Air Force pilot who crashed in the mountains, And the area is very hostile to the British because at the time the British have colonized India, and Afghanistan doesn't want them colonizing Afghanistan. So all the local warlords find the plane, but they don't find the pilot. So there's a manhunt for this pilot, and she finds him, and she's like, if I can get him to the border of India, the British might give me a better life.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool, so I'm excited for that one.
Which company would that like come from?
What's that?
Which company for that one?
I can't say yet.
Oh, okay.
The paper, once it's signed, I could, yeah. And then I have another story that takes place in 16th century Japan. And again, we're papering the deal for that too, which is a different company. And so I can't say much more about that one either. But again, so I did 2 sci-fi and I'm getting into 2 historical books. I don't know why. I'm sick of the future. Future's bleak.
It sounds like it's not bleak, that there's, especially with Redshift, that there's like the hopefulness of, we can survive even the most insane circumstances.
Yeah, that's true. It is a survival's tale for sure.
If people wanted to follow you on social media, which is the best place, and what are the actual place to follow you?
I'm trying to do more social media. I think Instagram is probably the best because it's just, for me at least, it's just easy. And then I don't have to deal with like Twitter seems a little bit toxic all the time. Like, I don't know, it's just not, I feel like it's not made for me. So I would say Instagram's the best, HS Tronic.
Okay. And then, so TRONIK? IC, okay.
Yeah.
Messed up.
That's all right.
That's awesome. Now let's talk to the other man in the room. Alex, how have you been, man? It's been way too long.
Yeah, last time I saw you was literally like 3 weeks, was 3 weeks before the world kind of ended.
Yeah, Comics
in
Pro.
Portland. Yeah, man.
We cut that place down.
Yeah, yeah, we were just hanging out in Portland, kind of talking about this thing and whether it was going to do anything, and it did. Turns out it did. It was a thing.
Very much so. Yeah, this is like way before anything had made it over to America even. So we were just kind of like thinking in terms of like, we hope that everyone stays okay in the world. And we weren't really thinking about it in terms of like the whole world's going to be in trouble soon and we'll need each other a lot. So I'm glad we're on the back end, quote unquote, of this, hopefully.
Yeah, everyone, I hope everyone's kind of safe and well. It was the weirdest time though, man. Like, because the week after I saw you, I had this thing where like I got flown down to LA to kind of work, to sort of do some sort of to sort of work on like some adaptation stuff, and HS, I'm sure like you've had a kind of experience of this, but I was working sort of on the Warner backlot and stuff. Not my life at all. Like I live in a sort of like studio apartment, in the middle of the north of England, and like I spent a week kind of like every morning kind of like driving past like the area where like the Friends fountain was, and like there's like the house from Gremlins and all this stuff. And then like by day 3 I'm just kind of going like, is this my life now? Like is this going to be like normal for me? And then like I came back and like lockdown happened within a week of me coming back, and then like as I was saying, like my wife was saying to me, like we went from sort of because my wife came with me, and like we went from sort of spending like a week in Los Angeles kind of wondering, is this going to be a thing, and then like to sort of having the situation where like every time we like put out the garbage we felt like Columbus. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just how quickly the world shrank, man. It's crazy, but I'm glad everyone's safe and well.
You're like, I'm outside.
Yeah.
Scott James says, so what I hear is that you live in the Warner backlot.
Yeah, that's where I am right now. As you can see, this is actually where they filmed WandaVision.
You do have the world's tallest shelves, I think. Do they go to the ceiling?
Yeah, I had them made.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, that's my wall.
I'm jealous. You got a full set of something up there. What is the full set of?
Oh man, I got a bunch. I got a full set of Satin Apartments, Children of the Sea. I got a full set of Vagabond.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mad respect.
Bunch. Thank you, friend.
I have a large book game too. I need better shelves though. I've gotten to the point where all my shelves are full, double rowed, like row books and then row books in front of them. And then next to my bed now, I've got like piles that are, like the laying down piles, like 3 of them at least waist high. It's not probably the way you should live, but if I ever need things to build houses out of that aren't bricks, I can do it.
It's the only way to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like if you say it's no way to live, it's the only way to live. And you have a filing system that only you know, right?
This is absolutely
yeah, absolutely. It's great.
All right. So for people that don't know, your early foray into comic books was alongside your friend Andy Diggle. Talk to people about that a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was yeah. So I worked on a book with him called Incursion Valiant. I think it was 2018. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of an Eternal Warrior miniseries in all but name. And I mean, what basically happened with that was, Andy was working on Shadow Man at the time, and sort of was focusing on that, and sort of I think he got sort of part way through the first issue and kind of brought me on. And it was the weirdest situation as well because like I had very little lead time with it, so. My studio, and I'm in a studio with Ram V, Ryan O'Sullivan, and Dan Waters, mm-hmm. And we were all flying out to New York for NYCC. I think it was 2017, and we were doing a signing in Forbidden Planet London. And I get a call from Andy, and we're doing the signing in the sort of downstairs place, so I had to go up and take the call. And Andy just said, "Oh, do you want to jump on this thing?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, but what's my kind of turnaround time?" And honestly, I mean, it was the weirdest. Within about 14 hours, I was sat in a coffee shop in Brooklyn with Valiant editorial, kind of chopping this thing up. So it was a weird thing, man, because the turnaround time on that, it felt like a bit like a gym, in the sense that like I was really proud of the result. I mean, people seem to really like it. Awesome. And I kind of tuned into the kind of, I sort of treated it as like a bit sort of, okay, Conan, but kind of immortal, and just sort of ran with that as a sort of into the character. And don't get me wrong. I have enormous love and respect for the character sort of as is, but, that was the sort of approach that I wanted to take for that. I wanted to go a bit kind of berserker with it. And got to use all these sort of one-liners that I had in my back pocket. And it was a hell of a lot of fun, but there were just these weird synchronicities that kept sort of cropping up like that. Like I did this whole thing where like one of the climactic scenes I set on like a Santa Monica Pier, and then within a couple of days, like through it hadn't been planned at all, but like just a weird sort of chain of circumstances, like I found myself like on Santa Monica Pier, just sort of sending Doug Braithwaite reference pics, going, and this is what the Ferris wheel looks like. It was all very kind of serendipitous, that book, but. It felt like a real sort of baptism of fire thing, because Valiant are an incredibly professional company, and they kind of don't have time. The first time I hadn't sort of worked on anything that I kind of initiated myself, and it was the first time I'd sort of been in that more sort of Fordist kind of culture, and I kind of found that. Oh right, I can do this. Like if someone turns around tomorrow and says, "Can you do 50 issues of Deadpool?" And well, like probably. I didn't know that I could before, but I kind of think I can now.
Who needs sleep anyway?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Boom has first look with Netflix. You have 2 Boom properties, Arcadia and Turncoat. Which one would you see most likely to be picked up if you just thought pie in the sky? Which is the one do you think?
Well, I know which one.
Oh, I'm not saying anything,
and I can't say.
I hope it's the one I have a whole bunch of number 1s of.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
I have a whole bunch of number ones of turncoats. So I don't know how in the world I don't have any Arcadia. I've got just like 2s and 3s and 4s. Everyone bought my other ones. Maybe they know things I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm you know, I mean, it's weird, man. I turned around the other day, like those books were like a minute ago. You know, it's and it never feels like it, but that was like 5 years ago. It's crazy.
Okay, so I think the thing that drew me to you as a writer, I think the thing that introduced me to you was Friendo, which I still think is my favorite of your works, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Just because it's so ridiculous and probably aligns with the way things really would go down soon. It feels like that's what's going on anyway right now. But that everyone kind of gets to the point where they'll do just anything to get social media hits. And the main character here, literally when we meet him, is like getting into a giant car accident just for, clicks. And it gets more derailed from there, which is hilarious to me. And I love so much that the universe has like the main corporation is just basically a giant convenience store chain. Why a convenience store chain, Alex? Why?
I don't know. Like, to be honest, I mean, I didn't give it too. I gave the whole thing quite a bit of thought, but I just wanted the visual. Really, I just sort of proceeded from this sort of visual. I just had this vignette in my head of a guy and his sort of AI holographic buddy going on a crime spree, sort of up and down sort of big box stores on the West Coast, and just sort of getting into the most ridiculous scrapes imaginable. Like that was a weird book, man, because like I started kind of putting it together. I mean, not to get too kind of political or anything, but 4 or 5 years ago when things started getting a bit strange,
it went sideways. Yes, it did.
a little bit sideways. I started putting the thing together, and it ended up just sort of turning into. I mean, I described it to a friend. I just said it's like I either write this or I scream into a bucket, and that's kind of what it turned into. It was this immense kind of cathartic. That book was my therapy.
I honestly have I think 20 copies of the trade, and I just hand it to everybody. Like, here,
please tell me you don't still have 20.
No, I mean, I'll make sure I keep 20 copies of it.
Thank you.
I don't want to be out of them. We'll just say that. All right. So the reason we're here and talking specifically this week to you is for the Immortal Hulk. Is it a single shot? The Time of Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my pre-ask was like, how many billions of versions of the Immortal Hulk are we going to get? And your answer was awesome, like a Brady Bunch worth of them or something.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I mean, we're introducing a new one in this. Sorry.
I'm happy about it. I just can't.
Yeah. But this one is set because I mean the great thing about what Al Ewing set up with his Immortal Hulk run is he's sort of made he's turned the Hulk from kind of a science monster into more of a sort of quasi mystical monster. So you have the mythos that he's created of like the Green Door, which is basically that anyone who's kind of exposed to gamma will basically die, and they will pass through the Green Door into a sort of hell-like place, and that's where they'll become like gamma mutates basically, and from that point on they can't really die. And there's a thing down there, the one below all, that kind of effectively kind of makes Hulks. So the Abomination was made by this thing, the Leader was made by this thing, etc. And so I mean the way this kind of came about is I mean Al's a good friend, I mean I've known him for years, and we were just chatting, and I didn't pitch him or anything. I was just kind of idly just thinking aloud really, and just kind of going, so you could kind of project this thing backwards and forwards as much as you wanted, right? And he kind of went, go on. And I found myself kind of almost on the fly. I mean, I pitched this as a far future thing, right? I thought, okay, we'll almost take a kind of like almost like a sort of a sort of a dystopian sort of like commandy kind of blasted kind of, you know, future America, and you know, you would have, you know, a new Hulk like in that environment. And then because Al's like, you know, he really has no ego, you know. I mean, I never thought he just turned around and went, well, why don't you just make it like the first Hulk? And I went, hang on, you would want me to write the first? Isn't that something you'd want to do? I mean, that's a pretty important thing. And he went, no, yeah, you do it, you do it. I'll speak to Marvel. I'll try and set it up, and then he set it up. So, and now here we are. So yeah, I get to do. I mean, again though, I mean, because a lot of people have kind of mentioned this. When I mean first Hulk, I mean the first Gamma mutate, because I know like Jason's got his Avengers of 1 million BC. Yeah. So you have, I think, the Star Brand Hulk. So this guy's like way later than that. It's like our one's set 9,500 BC, and it's sort of set around Jordan. So it's set in the sort of Fertile Crescent, just at the sort of dawn of agriculture. So yeah, it's basically the sort of birth of the Neolithic is where we sort of placed it. We thought, okay, so this is, the idea was that, you know, we were talking it through and just saying, you know, the Hulk has basically been around for as long as there's been complex civilization.
I like to have long debates about this. I've actually talked to Marvel directly about, like, everyone now with CGC saying that the first Immortal Hulk happened in Avengers 693 or whatever it was. And I said, oh, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I saw him come back, be revived by the Hand 2 years before that. It happens a long time before. You actually see him get reanimated. He's in his, they unbury Bruce and reanimate him. He comes out in swaths, like he's on the cover of the stinking book. It's like 16 and 17 of Avengers. I like to have long debates about this, but the true answer when people say what's the first appearance of the Immortal Hulk is, it's Incredible Hulk #1, because immortal means mortal. So it doesn't matter. We're both wrong. They're all mismarked. All of the CGCs are bad. Right. We've got one last minute. Please tell everyone, Alex, where they can find you if they wanted to follow you on social media.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay. So, I spend a lot of time on in the treehouse that is Twitter. So yeah, at Alex Packnadell, and I think my name's there. So my name, all one word, but with an at the start. I'm on there, mainly talking nonsense, but with occasionally interspersed with sort of, you know, gushing tweets about Barry Windsor Smith and Mike Kaluta.
That sounds perfect. All right, everybody, find the local comic shop near you this week and pick up HS Tax Redshift. You must have it. It's just the beginning of an awesome new series from Scout. And it looks like if you want to have the first appearance of a new Hulk version, you got to go get Immortal Hulk, Time of Monsters. Put those on your pull list now. They come out on Wednesday. Don't be too late to get either of those, because I have a feeling they're both going to be super hot. And you can find a local comic shop at comicshoplocator.com if you don't already have one. Thank you guys so much for being on with us on the experience. I appreciate it very much, and I hope to have you back again soon.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too, Alex.